This part of our story map in Johnson City really focuses on population over time. It's important, however, to know that there are certain things going on, trends in the United States, and one of them is the large and small cities losing white population and having in-migration of minorities, and we're going to focus on that. After we look at the three minorities and the total population in Johnson City over 5 or 6 decades, we will then turn to focusing on the Asians. Later we'll look at the Hispanics and the blacks, but for now we're interested in the Asians. So we're beginning in, as I said, with Johnson City, looking at the population trends, but also looking at what we call the I District. And the I District is largely focused on Main Street. What you're looking at is the table of Johnson City and then the Johnson City I District that we just talked about. The important one, there's a lot of data there, but I'm going to focus to one section, and that is the 1990 to 2020 raw changes in the total, the black, the Hispanics, and the Asians. First we'll do it in Johnson City by itself, and then we're going to go back to the I District and see how that goes. Okay, so here we are. If you look at the total of the 1990-2020 raw change, is a loss of a little more than 1,500 population. Now when we look at the blacks, we see a gain of 1,028. You go to Hispanic, 715, and Asian, 684. Those are the ones we were talking about. They're helping hold the population. Now, the truth is the percentage change is a little better than 9%, and that's a negative. But look at what has been contributed by the minorities moving in. Now, if we come down to the I District, again, this is largely the Main Street, but it's got a few other streets there as well. But nonetheless, if we look with the same numbers and the time period, 1990, 2020% change. Look up at the 1,500 loss in the total, and now we come down here just in this area, this small area, and we'll have a map to show you that later, but it's over 1,000 loss. That's significant. Now if we look at the black, 616, Hispanic, 374, Asians, 242, we see how many people have come in to help us keep a larger population, and one that slightly bumped up in 2020. What these data, especially the minority data, gives us an indication of how minorities are making a difference in the population. We follow this population examination by looking at Brome County and other scales. We're focusing on Asian ancestry between 1980 and 2010. The periodic census data provides insights to changes of Asian ethnics in Brome over time. This graph shows the trend of 8 origins, Asian origins. 3 groups stand out for the positive trends: the Chinese, the Asian Indians, Koreans. Before we start looking at the next one, we have to make sure that we understand that Laotians' population increases and then declines. Next, we're going to look at the triple cities. The triple cities experience fluctuations and changes among the Asian groups. The biggest fluctuation happened between the decade 1980 to 1990 for Laotians, who reached over 25% of the total Asians in the triple cities. After that, the Laotians remain the 4th rank of Asian groups in the triple cities. The ranks between 1 and 3 were the Chinese, the Asian Indians, and the Vietnamese. Johnson City experienced the same fluctuation of Laotians on the previous chart. From 1980 to 1990 now, they increased from 0 to nearly 45% of the Asian population. Despite fluctuations in 2000 and 2010, they became the dominant Asian group in Johnson City. 3 Asian groups, Chinese, Asian Indians, and Koreans, were close in percentages, between 23 and 26%. However, the Koreans dropped substantially, and the Chinese and the Asian Indians ranked 2nd and 3rd behind the Laotians. Maps of Johnson City illustrate 2 pockets of Asians. One is in northern Johnson City, where socioeconomic status is higher than in the other pocket that is lower status. This pocket is in the north of Floral Park and extends to the I District in the downtown of Johnson City. The maps also indicate the growth of the Asian populations. One of the key leaders of the Loatian community in Johnson City is Pastor Sean. He introduces himself in this 2010 video.
I would like to give you a brief history about our church and our ministry. Our church had founded by the group of missionaries from Christian and Mission Alliance. When this church had founded, there are many Lao and Thai people have immigrants from overseas to settle in Broome County.
Pastor Jean began his congregation in a bowling alley in Johnson City. After preaching in a few locations, he now has a congregation that utilizes a beautiful church, the Enwell United Methodist Church. Pastor Jean and two other Laotians provide some important recent history of Johnson City.
So before I do it, let me introduce my dad, father-in-law. He's a captain in the army. He worked for American and Lao government. And then he escaped because of the war in Vietnam.
Yes.
So now he retired, and he used to work at the hospital in USS.
Ah.
He retired from there. I'll let him tell you more.
Please. Yes.
And he
put John Show, the same last name, my father. I live here. I be here 1985. I be there for 1 year and then moved to my brother.
and then he introduced bring him here to Broome County. Yeah.
Chamleon Suk. Yeah, I've been here a couple of times. You know, first I came here in 1982. I own business like insurance, health insurance, and I leave Kirkwood and go around, you know, the country, you know, wherever is the customer is. And then after 8 years, I changed my career again. And then I work with the company who used to do the medical device out of this area in Midwest.
What a lot of residents of Johnson City from, for example, same villages or like same towns in or relatives. So, at that time, 80s, was that actually a lot of the residents of Johnson City? They were relatives, or do they know each? Did they know each other?
Majority know each other.
Okay.
And some of them, like them, when they came here first, and they're looking for each other.
Oh.
Because when they came from overseas as refugee, you got sponsored from different,
That's
like
right.
Okay.
church sponsor you or
Okay.
business sponsor you, and then when you get here, you do your best to figure out where your family is better. That's how they did. They communicate,
Okay.
and then they found each other in Pennsylvania, and they bring them here. So and then even still now, a lot of family here, like California or down south or something, then they invite them back here. So a lot still go in and out.
Okay.
Jobs attracted Laotians and other Asians. IBM was one of the providers that offered many jobs. However, deindustrialization reduced this region to a Rust Belt city. When this happened, the children of the Asians had to find employment in other regions. Despite this fact, those children still see Johnson City as their home and hope for a new job center in the future. In the meantime, these children return for celebrations at home.
Once again, depend on job. The main reason here, manufacture. So IBM, shoe factory, and then there are a lot of food in the Kirkwood.
Okay.
They have big immigration come here for the skill work.
Okay.
So that's what they draw them here.
Do you know now that when the industrial is not so much here, right?
They're gone.
They're gone. They're leaving.
Yeah, they're leaving. A lot of young people migrant, but for them to retire, they
Sure.
stay.
Sure.
So we have.
Leaving the North Korea and South Korea, they moved over there.
We used to have the big company here, food, like Uncle used to say, the Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yes.
That's another one. And then we have steel company there in downtown, was shut down on Route 11.
Yep.
And then we have another one is a vacuum company in Kirkwood, the major one, so they all shut down. And then the people we move south, like that's it, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina.
Yes.
And then some they move west, like Texas.
So if they work,
Yeah.
they come back, the company they come back,
Come back. Yeah.
they most likely they want to come back.
People will come back.
Because
Yeah.
Johnson City is like not a big town,
Yeah.
Right.
small town for them, and so they know each other, they help each other. So they're living because the company closed.
Family, yeah.
Yeah,
But they still commuting, like on holiday, they come visit the family here.
yeah.
Nice.
So this is like they're like family, like Asian like family, you know. Big family.
Laotians, moving forward, want to strengthen their relationships with the Johnson City Mayor, Village Board, Planning, and other agencies that will benefit Johnson City and its immigrants and people of color.
My name is Stephanie Yazzie, and I am the Director of Planning here at the Village of Johnson City. I'm responsible for all of the grant facilitation and the planning and zoning activities here, along with our code officer. So.
Specifically, these people are entrepreneurs and are looking for assistance from the city in navigating the processes that are required to establish new businesses on Main Street. Mayor Meany is eager to assist entrepreneurs with his plans for development on Main Street and the adjacent streets. They also want to be part of expanding new cultural celebrations in Johnson City. These would include Binghamton University and new ethnicities that now reside in Johnson City. More broadly, festivals attract local people of all types in the region.
Talk about culture thing. We have Ukrainian festival every year.
Yeah.
We have Greek festival in the Vesta.
Glasgow, yeah.
And we have Italian festival in downtown.
Yes.
Why not? We Laotian and Asian,
Yes.
We want to add to it, all work together.
It is important to understand that our new population is changing and that they are interested in being part of the new Johnson City.